Here we go, man. Here we go. We got another wood story, man. How many people go into freaking wood? What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, man, Jay Willie Silly, man. aka Mr. Take It Easy before you end up like BZ. But make sure y'all follow my Twitch, man. Subscribe to my second channel. Like I told y'all in the video, not before this one, but before the last video that I did, is I will be live streaming on Twitch Saturday. Will not be live on Sunday. I don't upload on YouTube on Sunday. I don't live stream on Twitch on Sunday. Y'all already know it's the Lord's Day, man. You know, every day is the Lord's Day, but Sunday is the day dedicated to Him. You know what I'm saying? So I just had to, you know, like I said, that day is just, you know, because like I said, y'all, every single day is the Lord's Day. But, you know, really, you know, God is with us every day. You know what I'm saying? Every single day He's with us. You know, we can't just give Him a one day where it's just about Him. You know what I mean? I challenge y'all, man, to give God one day. No matter if it's Friday, no matter if it's Saturday, can we just give a day to God, you know, not doing anything, just focusing on Him, reading the word, just Him, make it about Him for one day. You know what I mean? You get 7 days out the week. One day, He there for us always, and we can't make a day for Him. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying, man. You feel me? Just make a day. You feel me? But yeah, man. Make sure y'all follow my Twitch and subscribe to my second channel. Everything you know about your boy Jay is in the description down below. We got 3 very scary, true woods horror stories. You know, honestly, I'm gonna keep it real. I don't easily get frightened. You know what I mean? Honestly, it takes a lot for me to get scared. But I'm going to go ahead and say this. I've been reacting to Mr. Nightmare for a long time. You know what I mean? I've been reacting to Mr. Nightmare for a long time. And I'm going to tell y'all right now, these type of stories are always the ones that just, you know, give me goosebumps. They're always the ones that, you know what I mean, just make my nerves rattle. You know, it's just something about the woods that just, it's just so creepy and just so disturbing to me, you know. But I like being scared. You know what I mean? That's one thing that I like. Is being scared. Like I like reacting to a scary video, excuse me, and feeling scared. You know what I'm saying? But it's just something about these wood stories, man. You know what I mean? These wood stories that he be doing, it kind of be freaking me out a little bit. Thumbnail time. Let's just 40 go. Let's hit 40. Shorty with the 40, he ready in his glory. Trying to catch a body and tell us homies a story. Shorty with the 40, he ain't playing no games. He trying to make a name.
Land surveyor for about 15 years.
Take it easy.
Most of my work is solo, remote stuff. I'm usually camping out for days at a time in places nobody else is going to. I actually prefer it that way, or at least I used to. This happened about 4 years ago. I'd been hired to survey boundary markers on a parcel up in the mountains near the Clearwater region in Idaho. Remote doesn't even begin to describe it. It was 6 miles of hiking just to reach where I set up camp. I filed my route with the local ranger station like I always do, and I packed a week's worth of supplies. The first day went smooth. I found 3 markers, logged everything, and made it back to camp before dark. The forecast had called for cold and light snow.
I'm sorry, y'all. This just creeps me. I cannot stand the woods, y'all. Oh my God. Y'all just look at the screen. Look, does that not look creepy, bro? You know, like, I'm just saying, y'all, look, man. It's just something, I'm telling y'all. Something about the woods that freak me the freak out, bro. I don't know what it is, bro. It's just creepy out. You will never see me going in the woods, ever.
And that's pretty much what I got. By the second day, though, things started to change. We got way more snow than expected. The next marker was only about a mile out of the way, so instead of calling it right then and there, I figured, what the hell? That was a mistake. I honestly still think about how stupid it was not to just hunker down or make it out of the woods when I had a chance. The terrain was all hidden rocks and icy slopes under fresh snow, so to translate, the worst possible conditions to hike through. I was picking my way down a short embankment when my boot hit a patch of ice I never saw. One wrong step like that and you could die, and I mean that literally. I slid probably 15 feet before catching myself on a tree root.
Hey.
I was lucky not to have slid further, but the pain in my right ankle was instant. I tried to tell myself I was fine, but the moment I stood up, I audibly groaned in pain. I couldn't put much weight on that leg, and I knew it would be a few hours before I'd be able to walk normally. I was so mad at myself, but there was nothing I could do. I abandoned the rest of the work right there. No markers worth getting stranded over. I painfully made my way back uphill to the main trail and started the slow hike back toward camp. But after a few minutes, I noticed boot tracks on the trail, which seemed to have come from further into the woods on my left. They were heading in the same direction I was going, and they looked somewhat fresh, which I could tell by how sharp the edges were, despite the fact that it was snowing. I figured it was probably a hunter, or maybe someone from the landowner's crew checking on the property. It's not unusual to cross paths with people out there, even in remote areas. I didn't think much of it. I just kept moving, trying to keep as much weight off my ankle as possible. As the light started fading, I began hearing sounds behind me. At first, I chalked it up to normal forest noises, but the more I listened, the more it sounded like footsteps. I kept turning around and looking over my shoulder, but I couldn't see anything. That part of the forest was pretty dense though, so if there were any animals stalking me or something, there's a good chance that I wouldn't have been able to see it anyway. I stopped walking and the sound stopped too. Not right away. There was a delay of maybe 1 or 2 seconds, but they stopped. I froze up and tried to listen for anything out of the ordinary, but there was nothing beyond the wind and snow. I started walking again, and this time the footsteps didn't resume, so I thought everything was good. But then a few minutes later, I heard those damn footsteps again. I kept turning around, but I couldn't see anything. It was especially freaky because I knew I wouldn't be able to run if there was a threat out there. That was the worst part. I would have loved to investigate or try to scare off whatever animal was stalking me, but I didn't have the mobility to do so. So I just kept moving. But then I heard something metallic off to my left. I don't really know how to describe it. It was this low sound, like something lightly hitting a fence post or a piece of equipment. It was freaky because there wasn't supposed to be anything but trees out there, so I had no idea what could be making a metallic sound of all things. The sounds must have distracted me, because it dawned on me that I hadn't been keeping track of those footprints I noticed earlier. I looked down and realized they were gone. I turned around frantically, but I couldn't see when they had branched off or if they had turned around or something. I kept looking to my left, trying to see through the trees so I could at least spot whatever had made the sound. My eyes locked onto something, and the alarm bells started going off in my brain. There was another set of footprints coming out of the tree line on my left, running parallel to mine through the snow. They weren't that far away, which was the most concerning part. Whoever had been ahead of me on that trail was now walking alongside me through the trees. At that point, I was so scared that I wasn't thinking straight. I should have kept my mouth shut. I should have just kept going. But instead, I spoke up, asking if anyone was there. I didn't get an answer, and after about 20 seconds of waiting, I knew I had to get out of there. But my stupid ankle was still killing me, so I couldn't move that fast. I wanted to run or at least jog, but I couldn't. I was pretty close to camp though, so I just told myself if I kept moving, I'd be fine. I wasn't hearing footsteps behind me anymore, which was good, but I knew there was someone out there, someone who had been ahead of me at one point, which did make sense. I was really close to my sight when I heard the sound of a heavy branch snapping from somewhere behind me. It obviously wasn't a natural sound, or I wouldn't bother mentioning it. I didn't stop moving. I kept thinking about how if I just made it back, I'd be good. And eventually, I did reach my campsite. It was fully dark at that point, and only after getting inside my tent did I realize I wasn't any safer in there than I had been hobbling.
That's what I'm saying. I was just thinking the same thing. I'm like, bro, you talking about your campsite. You acting like you finna go outside. You acting like you heading outside the woods to go in your car and then head home or something. Bro, you still in the woods. So that person that's following you, or that thing that's following you, you think they're gonna stop because, well, he went into his campsite, so we're just gonna turn around. You're still in the woods, you know. And I'm sorry, bro. Ain't no right person in their mind. Like I said, man, you're hiking. I get hikers. I get the campers, but those don't hunters. Those are the only people that should be in the woods. Person just walking around randomly in the woods, bro. Something wrong with you, G. You not normal. Ain't nobody just walking. A normal person walks on land. You know, walk around neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying? Take a walk around the park. That's what normal people do. Why is this mother effer walking around in the woods? You know what I'm saying? But it baffled me. It was low key kind of hilarious how you was making it seem like your campsite is going to save you from whatever is behind you. That's funny right there. Like they're just going to stop terrorizing you because you're in your tent.
Through the woods, I started packing immediately. My stupid foot made it so hard to move quickly, but I tried my best to rush. I'd say maybe 60% of how scared I was due to the fact that in a fight or a chase, I would be completely screwed without the ability to move properly. Before I finished packing, I heard the thing that I had been dreading the whole time, footsteps right outside the tent. I was so unbelievably scared at that point, and I started thinking about all the options. The footsteps weren't approaching my tent, but rather circling it. There was nothing I could do but wait for them to charge my tent. The sounds of them circling went on for what felt like 5 minutes before everything went quiet. I hadn't heard whoever was out there walk away, but I didn't care. I was leaving, person or not. I finished packing and took a really deep breath before unzipping my tent and stepping out into the snow. The moment I got outside, I looked into the trees.
Holy crap.
There was a guy standing in the tree line staring at me. He was really old and sickly, almost like he was dying. He looked disgusting. I stared back at him. I was fully expecting him to charge me, but he didn't. I put my hands up and said, "I don't want no trouble," and he didn't respond. I didn't know what to do. The staring contest lasted a few minutes before he said something I still think about. He said, "You're a lucky man," then turned and disappeared into the woods. The rest of that night is pretty blurry, partly because I was still in so much pain, and partly because of the encounter. If that guy wanted to fight me or kill me, he probably could have. With my ankle all messed up, there would have been nothing I could have done. I finished packing and left, not even caring about it being dark. When I eventually got checked out, I was told I had severely sprained my ankle, and it was a miracle I hadn't messed it up worse by walking. I ended up reporting that freak in the woods, but I know nothing is going to come of it.
That freak.
I didn't take another winter contract for almost a year. I still do remote work. It's my livelihood, and I'm good at it. But I don't camp alone on winter assignments anymore. I either bring someone with me, or I turn the job down. This is still the scariest thing that has ever happened to me.
Out in the woods, man. Saying you're a lucky man. Telling you, see somebody in the woods. That's just out there, just to be out there. Trust me, up to no good. That man said, "You're a lucky man." And after he said, "You're a lucky man," turned around acting like nothing happened. Telling y'all, man, the woods is a dangerous place, man. It's a lot you will find out about them woods. Cults, you know what I mean? Skinwalkers. So much in the woods that y'all just don't know.
I've lived in Alaska most of my life. My family moved to Fairbanks when I was 6, and I never really left. I spent my summers working fish camps as a teenager, started guiding professionally in my early 20s, and that's basically been my life ever since. I'm 29 now. I work seasonally as a wilderness guide in northern Alaska, and I've been doing it long enough that I don't really get rattled much out there. I don't get lost, or I guess I should say I didn't think I could get lost, because what happened 3 years ago kind of forced me to reconsider that. My boyfriend at the time was Randy. He grew up in rural British Columbia and was basically the male version of me when it came to the outdoors. Actually, that's not really fair to him because he was probably more experienced than me in certain areas, like winter navigation specifically. We'd been together about 4 years, and most of our relationship revolved around trips that would make normal couples absolutely miserable. Week-long hunts and backcountry camping where you actually have to plan or you'll die. That sounds dramatic, but it's literally true up here. The plan was to snowmobile between 2 state-registered cabins about 60 miles apart. We'd spend a night at each and be back home in 4 days. We'd done the exact trip twice before, and it was always fine. The weather forecast looked good when we left, so we weren't worried at all. The first day was completely uneventful. We got to the second cabin by late afternoon, ate these freeze-dried meals that Randy swore tasted good but were honestly terrible, and then we played cards. It was a pretty relaxing evening. The next morning, I woke up.
It's nothing like it's nothing like finding a girl that is like literally just like you and that likes. That's one thing that I'm like disappointed in. When it came to last girl that I was talking to, you know what I'm saying? One thing we've been doing, it's like her right here. One thing about it, bro, I keep bringing up a girl, I really, really liked her. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, she was different from any other girl, you know, but, got a little, misunderstanding, and, she wanted me to leave her alone. So y'all know me, I'm gonna leave you alone. You feel me? So, uh, for freaking like 3 years, bro, it's just been on and off, on and off, on and off, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, she freaking, you know what I'm saying? She just, I don't know, bro. You feel me? The girl just she always coming back though. You know what I mean? Honestly, you feel me? She's just always coming back. I knew this girl for 3 years, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, just talking just for 3 years, I could just tell she was new. You feel me? Like very, very fresh and very new. You know what I'm saying? She Christian girl. You know what I'm saying? Christian girl for real. But I could tell she never liked a dude like me before. Like she never liked, you know what I'm saying? Like you could just tell she very just innocent. You know what I'm saying? So, but anyways, what I was saying is finding a girl, man, I haven't talked to her in 4 months. I haven't talked to her in like 4 months. You know what I mean? It's usually like how it be. You know what I'm saying? But I haven't talked to Shawty in 4 months. But speaking of what I was finna speak about, yeah, man, finding a girl just she just liked everything that I like. You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly. You know what I mean? Like she liked everything I liked, bro. It was like on some freaking she was a good basketball player. You know what I'm saying? It just ain't feel, it just felt right. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it do still feel right sometimes. You know what I'm saying? I'll be lying to say I don't miss her. You know what I'm saying? I'm not finna get on here and just lie to y'all acting like I don't miss her. You know what I mean? That was probably the first girl that I ever loved, bro. You know what I mean? We used to tell each other we love each other, bro. It took us time, but she told me she loved me first, bro. And I was like, what the freak? You know what I'm saying? But nah, that was the first girl really I ever loved. You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly. Was ever in love with. Put it like that. I loved the girl I was talking to before her. That was my ex-girlfriend. But I was actually in love with her because it was just so much. She was like a female version of me. You know what I'm saying? It was just so much we had in common. But I feel like it's not rare. You know what I'm saying? But it's like when you come across that, you know what I'm saying? You just never forget it. You feel me? So much love to her though. You know what I'm saying? But I definitely understand, you feel me? Having a girl that, have stuff in common. You know what I'm saying? Usually like when it came to me and her, what they just said in the video, what other girls would seem like, what other girls will feel like boring, she liked it. You know what I'm saying? So it was just, yeah, I really liked it though, man.
And realized there was a genuine storm going on outside. It was basically a full-on blizzard that came out of nowhere.
Just had to freaking vent. I be venting to y'all, bro. You know what I'm saying? It feels good venting to somebody because I don't vent. I don't talk to nobody. You know what I'm saying? So when I get on here, it's kind of like my therapy. I talk to God too. You know what I'm saying? Talking to God and talking to y'all. You know what I'm saying? So when I get on here, it's like a therapy, man. Like a therapy session, man.
Super surprising given the fact that there had been nothing indicating precipitation in the weather forecast. Randy and I decided to brave the storm, despite the fact that we had plenty of food and could have totally waited another day. We should have waited another day. I know that now. Things went south really quickly. The wind was almost worse than the snow. It was really hard to see much of anything, so Randy opted to take the lead. I was just following the path of his snowmobile, which was admittedly a lot easier than navigating the terrain in low visibility without anything in front of me, which is why I don't blame him for what happened. I don't really know how it happened, but 1 second Randy was just plodding along, and the next, his snowmobile was on top of him. I jumped off mine and ran over to him, but it was too late. His leg was bent in a way legs should not bend. Keep in mind, this was a guy who had once finished a 2-day trek on a sprained ankle and didn't even mention it until we were back at the truck. The first thing I tried was getting him on my snowmobile. That was the obvious move, just get him on the back and ride us both to the cabin. But Randy's 6'2" and probably 220 at the time, and those aren't like ATVs where you can just throw someone on the back and go. An Arctic cat in deep snow is already a lot of machine to handle by yourself. I got him up once, kind of half dragged him onto the seat behind me, and he lasted maybe 10 seconds before he slid off the side. The sound he made when he hit the ground is something I never want to hear again. I tried one more time, and it was worse. He couldn't grip with his legs at all, and every time the machine shifted even slightly, he'd start to go, and there was nothing I could do to hold him and steer at the same time. After the second attempt, he told me to stop, and the way he said it, he wasn't asking, he was telling me. That's when we both kind of accepted what the actual plan was going to have to be. I pulled out the satellite phone, and my hands were shaking so bad I almost dropped it. I actually managed to get a connection after a few tries, but I wasn't sure if my message about our coordinates and where we were got through. Relying on someone else to come save Randy was a terrible idea, and we both knew it. I knew what had to happen. I'd leave him sheltered with everything we had, then take my snowmobile and push for the nearest cabin to use the emergency radio. There wasn't really a discussion about it. Randy just looked at me, and I looked at him, and that was it. I got him set up with every extra layer we had and marked our coordinates on my GPS. He told me to be careful, and then he told me not to do anything stupid, and then I just left him there in the snow. I was navigating mostly by feel and GPS, but the circumstances seemed so dire that I was having trouble not freaking out. After about 45 minutes, things started feeling off, like landmarks weren't matching up and the terrain didn't look right. I kept telling myself it was the snow messing with my perception, but the feeling just got worse and worse, and then I saw smoke through the trees to my left. I angled toward it, thinking I somehow looped back to one of the cabins, but the structure didn't match either one. It was smaller and kind of ugly, honestly, with one side almost buried in a snowdrift. There was a faint glow from inside, and the smoke was coming from the chimney. At that point, I just realized smoke meant a person, and a person meant a radio, or at least a way to warm up enough to keep going. I killed the engine and trudged through the snow over to the door. I knocked a few times, expecting someone to come over and open the door, but no one did. So I tried the door handle and realized it was unlocked. I walked in and was kind of surprised to discover that it was really warm in there. It was definitely inhabited. There was a wood stove in the corner with a fire going and a bedroll on the floor. There was also a can of some kind of food on the floor with a spoon still in it. It honestly looked like whoever was living in there had walked out the door 5 minutes before I came in. I announced my presence, but no one answered, so I just stood there warming my hands and trying the satellite phone again. But I had no luck, which was pretty disheartening. Still though, I didn't want to go back into those treacherous conditions yet, but I had to. Randy's life was depending on it.
Sure.
As I was turning to leave, I noticed something sitting on the shelf on the back wall. I walked over to it and realized it was a pair of binoculars, along with a folded map and a notebook. I unfolded the map and realized it was a trail map of the area we'd been riding through.
It's crazy.
Sections of it were circled in marker, and I recognized some of them. 2 of them specifically. Both of the cabins we'd been staying at were circled, and there were dates written next to them in pencil. Some were from that winter, some were from the winter before that, and so on. I picked up the notebook and realized whoever it belonged to had been documenting people. There were descriptions of people, like what they were wearing, what direction they were headed, that sort of thing. I was instantly really unsettled. There was a good chance Randy and I were somewhere in that notebook, but I wasn't sticking around to check. I don't really know how to tell you what it felt like. It wasn't fear right away. It was more like every single thing in the cabin just sort of rearranged itself in my head. It didn't feel like a safe place anymore. I put everything down and went straight to the door, but before I could reach the door handle, I heard the loudest and scariest scream I've ever heard. It came from below me, under the floor.
Crap.
It was a woman, and they weren't saying anything, just screaming at the top of their lungs like they were getting stabbed. The shock made me literally jump, and I just ran for the door.
So you can't save everybody, bro. I can't save everybody. You know what I'm saying? I'm finna run for the door and get back on the automobile. You know what I mean? Lord have mercy. You know what I'm saying? I'll pray for you when I head back to Randy. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I ain't finna go down there. I'm scurrying off the lot. Lord have mercy. See, one thing you cannot do, you cannot save everybody. I'm sorry. Her time is now. You feel me? I'm not finna go down. Hello? Do you need help? Oh, no. I told you, Jay not like that. Jay scurry off the lot. Man, Man, I would have scurried off the lot. Man, I would have went through that door so fast. It didn't make no dang sense, and I won't feel guilty about it. I told you, Jay is not the type of person to help people. I help. I'm just saying when it comes to, I help people that's in need. I help people. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying when it comes to life or death, when it comes to that helping, Jay is kind of hesitant a little bit when it comes to that type of helping. Because I only have one life. So if I try to help you, and it always happens like that, right? When you try to help the person that's in danger, you know what I mean? Then when you trying to help the person that's in danger, you turn out to get killed. It turns out you get killed and she or he gets away. And then all she gonna say, or all he gonna say at your funeral is he or she, you know what I mean? He was a very brave man. Without him, I would not be standing here today. And then guess what? 2 weeks from now, you gonna forget all about me. You can forget the sacrifice I made. Your life gonna move on while I'm in the graveyard. I got a family just like you. You know what I'm saying? You better fight back with all your might. You better fight back, because with me, I'm not expecting anybody to save me, even though it'll feel good to have somebody to help me if I was in danger. I'm not expecting nobody to save me. Me is saving me. That's how I look at it.
I started my snowmobile as fast as I could and rode out of there without even looking back. I never got another glimpse of the cabin. I was a total mess after that, to the point where I don't really remember the rest of the journey. At some point, I made it to the real cabin and got through on the emergency radio. They had to dispatch a helicopter just to make it to Randy, and he was near death. Hypothermic for one, and his leg was in terrible shape, but he was alive and conscious. It was the worst few hours of my life, to the point where I have trouble even piecing together the sequence of events. Randy survived, but the experience was so traumatic that he swore off winter navigation forever, or at least as long as we were still together. I told as many people as I could about that cabin and that scream, and I was told they'd send someone out there as soon as the conditions were safe to do so, and you best believe I followed up on that. After a few days, they eventually told me they'd sent a small team out there, but they weren't able to find a structure matching my description and location. The guy I was speaking with actually had the audacity to suggest that I hallucinated the whole thing, and I flipped out on him.
What?
That was basically the end of the conversation. Randy and I broke up about a year after the incident, and it had nothing to do with any of this, but I still think about this all the time. There are really only 3 ways to explain what happened that day, and none of them are good. The first is that none of it was real, that I really did hallucinate everything, from the cabin right down to the scream. I was terrified and half frozen, and I just left my boyfriend to potentially die in the snow, and my brain constructed a detailed 10-minute experience inside a building that didn't exist.
That's crazy.
I can't fully rule that out. The second is that it was real, and that person screaming was someone who needed help, someone who I just left there, probably to die. The troopers either couldn't find the place or didn't try hard enough, and whoever was under those floorboards, I don't even know what could have happened to them. The only other explanation is that it was some kind of trap. Maybe the smoke and the light were supposed to draw someone in, and whoever wrote those notebook entries had been tracking people through that area for a while, looking to kidnap someone or God knows what else, and I had walked directly into it, or worse, maybe that trap had actually worked. That scream, maybe that was someone unlucky enough to walk into that cabin sometime before me, and if I had gotten there a little earlier, it would have been me under those floorboards. I'm not sure what to make of any of this.
Hallucinating that? It's crazy. Real with you. That was a crazy story, man.
When I was a junior in high school,
Life or death.
there was this girl I spent a lot of time thinking about. Her name was Sienna Rawlins. She had this alluring presence about her that's kind of hard to explain, but I'll try my best. She was really pretty, of course, but it was more than that. She had this mystique that I could never decipher. A mystique that you wouldn't typically associate with a generic pretty girl. She wasn't popular, and I got the impression that a lot of guys, girls too, were more intimidated by her than anything else. She wasn't warm and she didn't smile, and most people regarded her as weird. I didn't. I actually...
I'm saying, and they be the weird ones. That be the funniest thing. They be the weird ones. Whole time she just chilling. That's one thing I understood about people. They be the weird ones, bro. She weird because she ain't smiling? She don't talk? She weird or are you weird? A lot of people need to start looking at themselves in the mirror. It's funny how weird people call other people weird. But my boy Luke, he was a real one. You know what I'm saying? Real recognize real. Like I said, when it comes to real people, they're not in large crowds. I said that before and I'm going to say it again. You know? So before you call somebody weird, look yourself in the mirror. How you going to call somebody weird and you never even talk to them? That's the weirdest thing you can do. Call somebody weird, have judgment about a person when you don't even know that person. It's the weirdest thing ever in life. It's like me calling somebody weird and I don't know this person. No, you're the weird one. So the mature thing to do is just because you're feeling a way, that doesn't mean it's the right feeling. There's one thing a lot of people got to understand. They think just because they think a certain way and because they feel a certain way, that's the right feeling. Got to be more mature. You know what I'm saying? Than that. But it's funny to me how the weirdest people in the world call somebody weird. And I'm telling y'all right now, right hand to God, I've met more weird people than real. Honestly. I can count probably on my 1-2 hand real. I met so many more weird people than real. Honestly. Like it's insane how many weird people I've associated with. And that really made me into who I am today, just more reserved. You know what I'm saying? It's rare. I'm telling y'all, when they say real is rare, y'all better that joke real, bro. Real is rare, bro. There's a whole bunch of weird mother effers out here, bro.
Uniqueness kind of fascinating. Catching eyes with her would freeze me up, kind of like the way your body adjusts to a cold room or an unexpected gust of wind. She reminded me of snow, honestly. The way that a light snowfall can muffle everything around you, including your own thoughts. She had that quality, but it was like no one noticed but me. People just thought the way she kept to herself and never spoke was weird, but I was always dying to know what she was thinking. I read a lot of young adult fantasy novels around that time, so that probably had something to do with it. I wrote a lot around that time too. I actually named one of the characters in a story I was writing Sienna. You could say I was obsessed, but I also just liked that name. Anyway, I was walking up the stairs with my friend George one day, talking about that exact story, when he asked me what the characters' names were. So I told him, and of course, as soon as I mentioned the name Sienna, who turns the corner but the actual Sienna, walking with one of her friends? She flashed me a smirk, the closest thing to a smile you could get out of her, and she said, "Yeah, because you love me," or something along those lines. I was so embarrassed, and George started laughing, which made it even worse. She was already moving past me, clearly not interested in continuing the conversation, and my window was closing. I don't know what came over me, but right there on the spot, I asked her out. That actually got her to stop, and she gave me one of her famous icy stares. She didn't even have to speak. Her eyes communicated everything. How dare you even ask me that? But then she surprised me. She actually agreed and gave me her number. Then she said she'd text me and walked away, not even letting me respond. I was shocked, but that's how I ended up going on a hike with the girl I was obsessing over for months. The hike wasn't my idea, by the way. None of it was. She organized it all, and I got the impression that I had no choice but to go along with whatever she wanted.
Hike.
And I was fine with that.
I don't know about a hike, shouty. I'll keep it real with you. Girl asked me to go hiking on the first. You trying to kill me? I don't even trust you enough to go hiking. You know what I'm saying? She's trying to kill me. She already quiet. You know, the quiet ones, they be the most craziest ones. You know what I mean? The quiet ones, you know what I mean? Quiet. You feel me? They be the crazy ones. They be the real ones. You know what I mean? When it comes to a quiet person, man, I'm telling you, man, a quiet person, bro, will make a room, bro. When it comes to quiet people, bro, you know what I'm saying? Make a room just feel uncomfortable with him in there. It's crazy how one quiet person is more dangerous than 11 loud people. I'm telling you, bro. You not quiet. I just had to go and say that. Yeah, I know how you feel. Shut up, bro. You got like 10 friends. You got how many friends you got? You know what I'm saying? See, for me, I can say that, bro, because actually, I'm real deal quiet in real life. Honestly. You know what I mean? And I told y'all, that's why I talk so much on here, because I don't talk. So a lot of y'all will have a wrong interpretation about me, bro. They talk a lot. I talk so much on the video because I don't talk. My mouth be closed for half of the day. I'm the type of person that's in the corner watching. I'm really a quiet motherfucker. Super duper quiet. Nah, annoying it is to have somebody come up and say to you, why are you so quiet? It's annoying. I'm telling you, I experienced it. When somebody quiet step in the room, don't say nothing. Don't let their presence fit. Don't say nothing. I'm just getting in the room and just sitting there just chilling. I'm telling you, it's just something about him or her that makes them feel uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? It's something uncomfortable, but I'm telling you, bro, everybody just start gravitating towards him. You know what I mean? All the attention turned towards him. If you somebody that's quiet, bro, you know how many times you get asked, bro, why are you so quiet? Because you make them feel uncomfortable. Something about quiet people that make people feel uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, why is he not? Is he weird? He's weird. You the weird one. You know what I'm saying?
Fast forward to the weekend and see.
But no, though. What I was saying about Cynthiana, whatever her name is, it's just kind of, I don't know, it's kind of like a weird first date. Hiking. I barely know you. I don't even know you from a can of paint. I don't care how pretty you are. You could be a serial killer for all I know. No, I don't want to go hiking. You know, we can go on a little picnic, you know, you want the wilderness, go on a little picnic, you know, go to the fair or do something. You want to be unique, we can do that. But hiking, I think the freak not. We got to be somewhere around people.
Driving us out to
for the first day.
I'd never been to it, and neither had anyone I knew. The drive was about 45 minutes, but it felt like 10 because I was so in my head. Sienna had her window down and was playing music from her phone, stuff I didn't recognize, which tracked. We pulled into this gravel lot at the base of the trail. There were maybe 2 other cars there.
I was nervous.
Sienna didn't even think twice. She just started walking and I followed. For the first 20 minutes or so, things were actually great. Sienna was more talkative than I'd ever seen her, which admittedly still wasn't that talkative, but for her it was a lot. She asked me about the story I was writing, which was kind of embarrassing, but I gave her a rough summary while not trying to sound like an idiot. The trail narrowed after a while and the trees got denser. We hadn't seen another person since the parking lot. At some point, the trail split into a fork. I asked Sienna which way, and she pointed left without hesitating. I asked her if she'd been here before, and she said no. I found that a little strange, especially considering how definitive she seemed to be about everything, but I didn't say anything. The left fork was noticeably less maintained.
I'm gonna tell you this right now. I don't know, I think Sienna kind of killer, gang. I know you probably don't want to hear it. I know you hypnotized by Sienna's beauty, but something in my gut telling me Sienna is taking you to your final destination. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's something in my gut telling me that Sienna is taking you to your final destination. You know what I mean? I don't know. They probably was right about Sienna. They probably was right about this quiet mother effer. You know what I mean?
I started to get the feeling we were going the wrong way, but I wasn't going to question her. I must have been really in my head about that, because at one point, I realized I couldn't hear Sienna's footsteps behind me anymore. The trail had gotten so narrow that we were walking single file, and I had taken the lead since she had gestured me to go first. But when I turned around to check on her, she wasn't there. The trail behind me was empty. I yelled her name, but I didn't get a response. I was confused, so I started walking back the way we had come. I made it back to the fork, and she wasn't there either. I figured she had probably stopped to use the bathroom and didn't want me to notice, which was a reasonable enough explanation. But I looked around some more and realized there was no side trail for her to wander off on.
Sienna, a ghost? Is you hallucinating, Sienna? Oh, I know you ain't that pathetic. I know you're not that pathetic. Are you a hallucinating Sienna? Is Sienna an angel? Is Sienna a demon?
It was just gone. So I decided to try the right fork. To my surprise, that side was even more overgrown, and the further I walked, the less it felt like a real trail. I kept calling her name like an idiot, but I didn't know what else to do. I couldn't imagine why she would have abandoned me, so I genuinely thought it was an honest mistake or something. At one point, I heard a branch snap somewhere off to my left, deeper in the trees, and then when I looked over, I saw movement. something shifted behind one of the thicker trees. I instantly knew what was going on. It was Sienna messing with me. That would have been on brand for her, so I figured I'd turn the tables on her and surprise her before she could surprise me. I slowly walked over to the tree as quietly as I could, and at the last second, I jumped to the side to scare her. But as I was mid-yell, I realized it wasn't Sienna. It was a man. I was horrified, but it was too late. I was inches away from this tall, middle-aged looking man who didn't seem scared in the slightest. I instinctively took a few steps backward, and the guy just stared at me. Before he could say anything, I blurted out that I was just looking for my friend or something like that, which in hindsight was a completely useless thing to say. He clearly didn't care. He started walking towards me, so I turned and started walking back toward the trail, trying not to run. But then I heard a second sound, this time from my right. I looked over and saw another person moving through the woods.
Oh, Sienna trying to set me up, G. Oh my God, Sienna trying to get you killed. Man. Sienna trying to get you killed. You was set up, bro. Sienna set you up, bro. Go, bro. You better get out of there now. I repeat, abort, evacuate. I repeat, abort, evacuate.
The second guy wasn't even trying to hide. He was just standing in the open watching me, and he was holding what looked like a tree branch in his hand.
What the?
That's when I just ran. The second guy was blocking the path back to the trail, so I was just running through the woods with no real sense of direction, hoping there was another way back to the main trail. As soon as I started running, both men started running after me. They weren't even trying to be quiet about it anymore. I ran for a few seconds, but it was hard because the woods were so dense. Before I could react, something grabbed my ankle and I fell. It was the first guy, and he was trying to pin me down. I screamed and kicked, and by some miracle, I was able to get him off me. I scrambled back to my feet and kept running. My mouth was full of blood at that point. I don't think they followed me after that, but I didn't care. I ran until I found the trail, then kept running until I made it back to the parking lot.
Where the freak is Sienna?
The car was still in the lot, but the other two cars were gone. Sienna wasn't anywhere in sight, which freaked me out. I started thinking those guys who had tried to catch me got her, and that she was in danger.
F it.
I didn't know what to do. I must have called her phone like 10 times and she didn't pick up. I was just about to call the police when she texted me asking where I had gone. I was typing a response when I looked up and saw her walking out of the tree line completely calm. I yelled at her to hurry, trying to explain what happened, but she didn't seem fazed. I told her I wasn't kidding, but she seemed more irritated than anything. Either way, we got in the car and started leaving. I told her everything, and she still didn't seem particularly moved, which was absolutely insane to me. That's when I demanded to know where she had gone. She told me she thought I had gone ahead without her, and that she was trying to catch up the whole time. I knew that was a lie because I walked all the way back to the fork, so there's no way I would have missed her. That's when it dawned on me that she might have had something to do with it.
Yeah.
What that something could have been, I had no idea. The ride back was the tensest 45 minutes of my life. I kept looking over at her and wondering whether someone so innocent and nonchalant could do something so heartless and cruel. Honestly, the answer was probably yes. She got to my house, we said goodbye, and then I was alone again. I was still so shocked by the whole encounter. I couldn't get over the fact that within minutes of Sienna disappearing, two strangers appeared in the exact stretch of woods she led me into. The trail she picked,
Set you up,
the
bro.
fork she chose, and the position she put me in by
Set
letting
you
me
up,
go
boy.
first.
Set you up,
It felt
boy.
orchestrated.
Yep.
And then she just showed up after the whole thing without a scratch on her, asking me where I went. We didn't hang out a single time after that. I never asked her to, and if I wasn't reaching out to her, there was absolutely no chance she was going to reach out to me. I've told maybe 4 or 5 friends this story over the years, and the response is always the same. Sienna set me up.
Yeah.
That she knew the trail and knew the people in the woods.
Yep.
I've considered that more times than I can count, but I just have no idea why anyone would do that. I have no idea where Sienna is now. She's not on social media, and I have no idea where she went to college.
I have no idea why people do things. Do you not know the world that we live in, brother? You know what I'm saying? She did it because she evil. It's a lot of dudes that get set up. I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling y'all, man, listen to me, man. The first thing you need to do is conquer self-control. Did I say that right? I don't think I said it right. The number one thing you need to do is have self-control. See, this man was blazing with feelings. Head over heels. Sienna. All he can think about is Sienna. You know what I mean? But he don't know he finna get murdered. You feel me? He's so hypnotized and so in love with this girl that he don't even know that he heading to possibly death. You think I would have went with Sienna and she talking about the first date? First and foremost, why is a woman planning our first date for? That right there throws me off. Because we already know a man, we plan the first date. Come on now. Ain't no woman planning the first date. So you planning the first date throw me off. Second thing, okay, you planning the first date. Second thing that would have threw me off, you talking about we going hiking. For me, bro, I don't trust nobody, bro. I don't give a dang how pretty you is. So you saying we going hiking, the first thought that come into my mind, you trying to kill me. What person in their right mind for first date? If we hiking, that's like on some people like, okay, I've been knowing her for like 4 years. She been knowing me for like 4 years. We've been knowing each other for some time. That's trust. But, bro, I just met you, bro. Literally. The first conversation I had, like, we don't even know each other. And you talking about going hiking. That right there's a red flag. I ain't going hiking with you. You feel me? So it's just, man, hey, bro, you're delusional if you think that woman ain't set you up. But I'm telling y'all, man, self-control, man. We gotta enhance. I'm telling y'all, man, self-control. Once you get self-control about yourself, lust. You know what I mean? Once you get control over that lustful desire that you have over women, they can't do nothing with you, bro. You're basically unstoppable to the succubus. You know what I'm saying? I call them the succubus. Because all they try to do is suck and drain your energy. You know what I mean? Demon succubus. But nah, like I was saying though, chat. Hey man, a woman is a man's biggest enemy, boy. Because you know why? When it came to Sienna, he couldn't picture it. Whole time, she's just as evil as the man. But what make her more dangerous is that, yes, she's just as evil as the man, but her looks hide it. I'm telling y'all, man, watch out for women too, y'all. Women, bro, is a man's biggest enemy. Now, the man's biggest enemy is their self, first and foremost. Second is a woman. I'm telling y'all, man, stay alert with these women, man. Don't let her looks hypnotize you. Stay alert.